SA company set to manufacture HIV prevention ring. A South African company has secured the rights to manufacture a vaginal ring used to prevent HIV infection. The ring, which is inserted and removed by the user, provides protection for a month, after which it must be replaced with a new ring. The ring contains an antiretroviral drug called dapivirine. While studies show the dapivirine vaginal ring is less effective at preventing HIV than HIV prevention pills and injections, it has benefits over other tools that have led the World Health Organization, WHO, to recommend its inclusion in the package of sexual health services available to women. One advantage of the ring over HIV prevention pills is it can be used discreetly by women, allowing users to use the ring without having to negotiate or discuss its use and purpose with their sexual partners. This is particularly important in the context of South Africa, where women face high rates of gender-based violence, which erodes their autonomy over their bodies and sexual and reproductive health. We need to give women more control over their health and bodies and access to a range of safe and effective options, including the dapivirine ring, to choose from so they can decide to use what works best for them at different times of their lives, wrote several prominent female African activists in 2022. While the WHO recommended the ring is offered to women, its current price is a barrier to broad use and rollout in South Africa. The only dapivirine vaginal ring approved by the SA Health Products Regulatory Authority that is currently available in the country is called the dapivirine. The dapivirine is manufactured by a Swedish company, Sever Pharma Solutions, under a license from the Population Council, formerly the International Partnership for Microbicides. It can be bought in South Africa's private sector for R320, excluding dispensing fees. The dapivirine is not available in South Africa's public sector outside of study and pilot sites, as the National Essential Medicines List Committee, the body that determines which health technologies should be available in the country's public health facilities, determined the product is unaffordable at its current price. They estimate the product will become affordable for South Africa's public sector at a threshold price of R52 per ring. Local company to boost access, the Population Council, the entity that owns the intellectual property on the dapivirine vaginal ring, selected South African pharmaceutical company Kiera Health to manufacture and supply the ring across Africa. Kiera Health CEO Dr. Skambuzo Ngazwana told Spotlight while it was not yet known what the price of the Kiera manufactured ring would be, it was expected to be lower than the current price of the Swedish manufactured dapivirine, licensed to manufacture. The council told Spotlight the initial focus of the license and partnership would be to develop manufacturing capacity at Kiera Health to supply the dapivirine vaginal ring across Africa. In the long term, it is hoped Kiera will be able to serve markets outside of Africa where there is a need for the ring. The Population Council's selection of an African-based manufacturing partner is notable, as holders of intellectual property protections on HIV health technologies have typically sought out companies in Asia and India in particular, as manufacturing partners. Read more. Health Department concerned that only 80% of HIV-positive people are on ARVs. The CEO of the Desmond Tutu HIV Foundation, Professor Linda Gale Becker, told Spotlight, "If the COVID-19 pandemic taught us anything, it is the value of being self-reliant as a region. Being able to manufacture the vaginal ring is a step closer to Southern African self-reliance." Ngazwana said Kiera Health appreciated the Population Council bucked the trend by not going to the East. These new technologies tend to go to the East, but instead they've partnered with an African company. He added future technology transfers to other manufacturers in Africa might be pursued if there was a need. Exclusive supply license. The council told Spotlight it intended to pursue an exclusive supply license with Kiera Health for the sole supply of the dapivirine ring in Africa. The pursuit of an exclusive supply license is a strong vote of confidence by the Population Council in the ability of Kiera Health to supply the ring at adequate scale and affordable prices. Since Kiera Health's exclusivity is for the supply of the ring, if there is a need, the company will be able to supply a dapivirine vaginal ring that is made by the Population Council's Swedish manufacturing partner, Sever Pharma Solutions, that is already widely authorized for use in countries in Africa. This would also guard against supply shortfalls that sometimes occurred when only one manufacturer supplied a market. Dr. Brid Devlin, the Population Council's chief scientific officer, told Spotlight, We would have 2 registered manufacturers right out the gate to guard against any shortfalls, and have the opportunity to continue the supply as the demand grows. Why Kiera Health was chosen, Devlin added. The Population Council did not have a formal bid process through which Kiera Health was selected as the manufacturing partner for the ring, but rather that Kiera Health was selected following years of engagement with the company. We had a team that went to Kiera last year to see this site, and it was a really impressive operation, both in terms of the staff but also the entire manufacturing operation, she said. Goswana told Spotlight Kiera Health had existing manufacturing facilities in Johannesburg where capacity to produce the ring would be established. Kiera Health's manufacturing facilities already held the quality assurance certifications required to manufacture medicines and have adequate space in Johannesburg to establish and scale manufacturing capacity for the ring, Goswana told Spotlight. What is needed to manufacture the ring locally? Critical steps include technology transfer, securing financing, procuring and importing manufacturing equipment, developing validation batches, and seeking regulatory approvals. At this stage, there are still unknowns regarding the extent of data and testing that will be required to gain regulatory approval of Kiera Health's dapivirine vaginal ring. To aid regulatory authorization, Goswana and Devlin noted Kiera Health would use the same manufacturing technology and inputs, including active pharmaceutical ingredients, API, used by Sever Pharma Solutions. This will require Kiera Health to import manufacturing equipment and API from Europe. However, in the long term, Goswana said Kiera Health would hope to increasingly procure manufacturing inputs, including potentially dapivirine API from the Pretoria-based API manufacturer CPT Pharma. Spotlight previously reported on CPT Pharma's work on API production here. Goswana and Devlin told Spotlight the anticipated time-limiting factors for establishing manufacturing capacity were securing financing and procuring and importing manufacturing equipment. Funding has long been a challenge for African-based pharmaceutical companies since it has historically been scarce and only available on unfavorable terms. However, Goswana told Spotlight Kiera Health was already engaging potential funders for support and exploring different financing sources, including grants and debt instruments. Goswana and Devlin noted technology transfer, which is a process for transferring manufacturing skills and knowledge, had already begun. Can this license boost further domestic manufacturing capacity?